Now, there are some Clinton supporters out there that are still continuing to spread the Bernie bro narrative. That, that it's just a white, educated, college, sexist Bernie bro. People who look like me and Ron, right? Lily white
Mm-hmm.
guys who didn't want to vote for Clinton because we know, like, the women, right? Well, I've got another piece of evidence to debunk that bullshit, and it comes from Jonathan Capehart of the Washington Post. Now, he wrote about this in the Miami Herald last week. Now, he starts off by saying that what we clearly saw in focus groups is that they don't regret what they did. Now, what was he talking about? Is he talking about the white Bernie bros? Actually, no. He's actually talking about millennial people of color who decided that they weren't going to vote for Clinton. They were actually going to either stay home or vote for a third party, like somebody, I don't know, Jill Stein, who's, third party, or whoever that guy, Aleppo, yeah, right? Aleppo guy. I can't even remember his
Gary
name right now.
Johnson.
Gary Johnson, thank you. I had just had my own Aleppo moment.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, so the article goes to somebody named Cornell Belcher, which is a great last name, by the way. Says a guy who has also a great last name. Now, he's the president of Brilliant Corners Research and Strategies. And basically, he did a poll for the DNC under Howard Dean and both of Barack Obama's campaigns for the White House. So what he said and found in this survey is that these millennial people of color, right, that overwhelmingly supported Bernie Sanders, and then when it was Clinton's turn in the general election, they decided we're going to stay home or we're going to vote for third parties because we can't stand the Democrats. We can't stand Hillary Clinton. These people did it because, well, again, they were tired of the establishment politics. And this guy's saying, what Belcher's saying, is that these people are the new swing voters in the Democratic Party, which is, they're the people that the Democratic Party should be trying to win over. Now, that's very interesting. So, like, Ron, you've seen the media narrative about, like, oh, we should go after the Obama Clinton voters or whatever, or Obama Trump, whatever. The people that flipped over from Obama's coalition over to Donald Trump, people who were in the suburbs, who would have voted for Mitt Romney or something like that. Those are the people that we should be going after, so says some of these establishment articles. Well, this guy's saying,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not it. We should be going after millennial people of color. That's our progressive base.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the rural white people.
Yeah, this was said to me before by somebody who's not a big fan of irony. They said, "You white Bernie bros need to get over identity politics."
Ha!
And I mean, the thing about everything that's happened is, and I'm so sick of talking about Hillary Clinton. I would love it if she just went away and just would be a grandma, and I wish her all the best. She has nothing positive to offer our political landscape right now. All she would possibly do is hurt the left. That's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this isn't me trying to hate on her or anything. That's just the reality of the situation. Her brand of politics, and I'm reading the book Shattered right now. Her brand of politics is dated, it's over, it's tired, it's a recipe for failure. It worked in the early 90s. It's not going to work today. And in the Clinton blame game, among the groups that she blamed were millennial feminists, even. She
Ha!
blamed millennial feminists.
For being
It's not a
what?
matter of getting those moderates that were behind Obama and not behind her. It's a matter of exciting the base again.
Right.
Obama excited progressives because we saw him as a healthy compromise. And I can speak for myself here. In 2008, I didn't support Obama in the primary. I supported Dennis Kucinich. But I was shown through that primary season that the pulse of the country wasn't with Dennis Kucinich yet, but it was with Barack Obama, a guy
Mm-hmm.
who was definitely a lot more moderate, not as moderate as I realized. I didn't realize, I considered him a straight out moderate. I didn't realize he was a conservative. He showed those true colors throughout the 8 years. But he was the healthy compromise we needed at the time. The 2016 election and where we're at, because that's really only what matters, where we're at now, it shows us that the pulse of the country is ready for a Green New Deal. They're ready for single payer. They're ready for a true progressive platform. 80% of the Democrats are with Bernie Sanders. And when I say the Democrats, I don't mean the establishment. I mean the people that still identify with the party. They're with Bernie Sanders. People are cheering for single-payer healthcare in red areas because they're coming around to the fact that, yes, healthcare should be a right in the richest country in the world. People want living wages. People want something to be done by out-of-control student loan debt. When people say it's time to unite, I don't interpret that as shut the fuck up and take the crumbs that the establishment that's compromised by special interests is throwing to you. I take that as it's time to put forth a bold new platform that historically is on our side, meaning it's time for our next FDR. And it's time to turn on the people slowly coming around to that we can't settle for anything less, because real change happens when a status quo demonstrates that it's broken. If Donald Trump isn't your shining light that our status quo is broken, well then guess what? We're going to get more Trumps, and they're going to be a lot fucking worse. Kid Rock is running for Senate, everybody. The system's broken, and it's time for a radical progressive revolution. And if anyone tells you the baby steps thing, they're wrong this time. There's going to be other times where they're going to be right, where we got to move slow. But we're ready for a sharp left turn. And when people tell you we're ready for a sharp left turn, they're not being purists. They're not being Bernie bros. They're not being hateful towards any group. They're recognizing the situation that we're in. They're dealing with the reality that's been dealt to them. And, that's what we need to unite behind. Anything less, we're going to continue losing.
And look, it's not just white Bernie bros like Ron over there that's saying this. They actually talked to people of color, African Americans. And now this survey was in Fort Lauderdale, right? Now, according to Belcher, the people that he talked to are so outraged at the broken politics they see on both sides. The Republican Party is broken. The Democratic Party is broken. The establishment itself is broken. That's why we have a Donald Trump, as you were saying, that they think that them protesting their vote makes both parties have to pay attention. Well, hey, look, they are paying attention. Unfortunately, they're ignoring the very group that's calling out for that attention. And they're only focusing on people that look like us and pointing to us as the problem. And so that's the issue. They've essentially, what they've done, Ron, is they've whitewashed all those young, progressive millennials of color. You don't exist. That's what they're saying. You don't exist. You're, the white people, the white Bernie bros, you're the reason that we lost. Comey's the reason we lost. Russia's the reason we lost. Didn't have anything to do with our policies or a lack of a clear message. That's what they're saying. And look, if I were a person of color, I would be very, very offended. Hey, don't whitewash me. Okay, don't put me in the category of of the so-called Bernie bro, which actually is bullshit. Okay,
it's complete
don't
bullshit.
Do that.
Yeah, and we know that. You know that. I know that. We all know that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sidetrack too much here, but something worth throwing in there. You want to know a policy reality that actually is responsible for the loss? The fucking Electoral College. A racist piece of policy that has roots in slavery that should have been gone years ago.
Yep.
Hillary won the popular vote by 3 million. She won the popular vote, yet she's not in office. And this is the second time in 20 years the popular vote winner, every time a Democrat, got fucked over by this archaic system.
That's
Why getting rid of the Electoral College isn't in the Democratic platform? And I know that's a long haul. That's going to take some work. It's going to take a constitutional amendment. But when you put it in the platform, it means that it's part of your, to quote Tom Perez, it's part of your values. Having that as something, you know what? This is a thing of the past. And moving forward, we got to get rid of this because it's not democratic. It's not, its roots are wrong. And it's time to say goodbye to this. I think that would increase voter turnout. I think it would invigorate a lot of people. I think it would be more democratic because it would be. Why none of the fingers have been pointed there is beyond me. But I guess there's easier scapegoats out there.
Yeah, it's not in the platform the same for the same reason that superdelegates are also not in the platform. They want to have an archaic institution of elites deciding who gets elected where. Now, on Trump, those same elites, they really dropped the ball on that one. Because, boy, has the Trump administration turned out to be an absolute disaster, just like we were saying that it would be. But I guess the one positive thing is that it is pointing out how broken our system is. And, when that's a positive, by the way, we're in trouble. But I've got a quote from another person of color interviewed in this survey. He says, "You're damn right, I don't have any loyalty to the Democrats. If Republicans want to get real about shit that's happening in my community, I would vote for every one of them. Then maybe Democrats would take us seriously too." And so that goes to what I think. And look, it's obvious, I'm not a person of color, and I don't want to pretend to speak for them or anything like that. But I do think the Democratic Party has taken the African American vote for granted. I don't know if you would agree with that. Maybe people in our audience, who are people of color, do you agree or disagree with that statement? But I believe that it is true, unless I see, evidence to the contrary. But I think it's one of those things where the Republicans, are so much worse on those issues that the Democratic Party's like, what, are you going to vote for those racists over there? We're your only chance. We're the only ones you got. So you have to be with us, and we don't really have to do anything or all that much for you because we're going to get your vote anyway. So why not reach out to the like white suburban vote that was going to vote for Republicans anyway, instead of focusing on young millennial people of color who are far more progressive than anybody seems to know or care about.
Bingo. Yeah, Jeff, I don't disagree with that statement. The only thing I would maybe add to it is that I think it applies to pretty much all minority groups.
Sure.
I think they take all of those votes for granted. And I think they take I think they take progressives for granted.
Yes, definitely.
That's why when they were asked to come up with a slogan, first they came up with, "Have you seen the other guys?"
Yep.
And then they came up with, a Papa John slogan, which I love. There was some brilliant irony there, Jeff, that no one's talking about, because at this point, the Democrats and the Republicans really aren't that different. One of the few things where the Democrats are different is that they're further along when it comes to social issues like gay rights and abortion.
Yeah.
So I have an idea. Let's have a slogan where we quote a homophobic pizza owner. That's real smart, Democrats.
Awesome.
Real smart. I know a lot of people didn't see that connection, but I couldn't help but notice it.
I think a lot of people actually saw that connection.
You think?
I think the hordes of people mocking them on Twitter about it probably noticed. Yeah. And what is it?
I know I'm not the only one. I'm just saying.
You're not the only one. No, it's a better deal, better jobs, better wages, or better skills, better wages, Papa John's. And for only $5 more, you can add a side to it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, people saw the Papa John's connection right away. Like, people saw the Papa John's connection right away. It's just like, and that guy's a homophobe. Like,
what's super sad about that, though, other than the fact that Papa John's a huge homophobe and all that stuff, and their pizza's terrible.
Yeah, their pizza does suck.
It sucks badly.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it's pretty shitty.
No, I forgot the point that I was going to make. I was sidetracked by the horribleness of their pizza. It's easy to be sidetracked by that. But at the same time, okay, so let's get a final quote in here from Belcher. Now, he says, "We spend a lot of time talking about blue-collar white voters and Reagan Democrats. Reagan Democrats are dead. They're dead. They're dead. Like the Mandelas, right? Who believes effort should be placed on winning back millennials of color and young progressive whites?" That's actually what he believes. It was in the article. He says, "Bringing that coalition back together would seem to make a lot more sense to me than trying to, in fact, bring in voters who have not been voting Democrat for quite some time." So look, this Belcher guy gets it. Why doesn't the rest of the party get it?
Mm-hmm.
If they ever want to win, they've got to realize that they need to go left. and actually embrace popular policies.
Yeah, and I think the question that we're all faced with, Jeff, and this kind of goes back to the whole electoral college thing that we brought up. Do they want to win? And sometimes I really wrestle with that. I think we all do.
Yeah.
Like, do they really want to win? Because if the donor gravy train is still there, a lot of the folks with the power, I think, are very content with that. So you really have to ask yourself, do they truly want to win?
Because either way, they end up getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.